Greetings, you are listening to The Heartful Technologist. I am CK Hicks, and today I want to talk to anybody who feels stuck. If that's you, then I think this simple trick will help, and it's not clickbait. It's honestly something you've probably heard before, but maybe you just need a little bit of reminding. We all do. So if you're stuck and you want to figure something out, you need to explain the problem, explain your current position in detail out loud. There's something about hearing yourself say it, something about the way it leaves one sense and enters another into your brain that's really helpful. Now, you could do this through writing. You could do this through a conversation, either in text or in speech, but I do think it's helpful to do it out loud. And in coding, there's an expression called rubber ducking that I actually don't know where the origin of that is, if it came from another industry or something, but you hear it a lot in programming. And the idea is that you explain the problem that you have to a rubber duck. Like you literally talk to an inanimate object about what your problem is, and then all of a sudden you start to figure it out. It's hilarious and wonderful. It was really fun in office situations where you'd have people trying to explain something and you just turn to the person and say, just say it. I won't say a word. Just tell it to me. And they would start explaining it, and then they'd go, oh, I got it. And they'd turn around. It's pretty great. But this took a new turn when AI entered the chat, as it were. And I think one of the secrets of ChatGPT and large language models in general is that it's why they feel smart and why it feels natural to have this dialogue with them. Like you can rubber duck with an LLM if you want. And the reason that works is because we have to explain ourselves. And when we have to explain ourselves, and when we have to just continue riffing on whatever it is, a problem or something, we start to learn. And we start to figure out why those details are important. Now, this is also why sometimes it shocks us when we're explaining something to ChatGPT and it has a horrible suggestion. Like it'll come back with something and you just say, what? No, that's a horrible idea. It's like batteries are included, but discernment is not. But the difference between a chatbot and another human being is that one of them are going to tell us when we're wrong. So if we're explaining something in detail and we start going, just here's my thought, here's what I'm trying to figure out, and here's where I am at the moment. At some point, a human will stop you and say, wait a second, but that doesn't match what you said a minute ago, right? But when you're talking to a large language model, you're interacting with ChatGPT or whatever, then it's much harder to receive that kind of assessment because they are built to be positive. They're built to reinforce. They're built to continue the conversation. And that's why they always end with a prompt that's like, would you like me to do this? Because it's designed to just be this ongoing conversation. And I think that sharing ideas and sharing what we're going through and sharing our ups, our downs, the messy middle of being a human should include explaining to other humans the things that we take for granted every single day. And that this idea of explaining a problem we're having and talking something out in long form, even if it is to a large language model, all of that is good and all of that's important. But what you're learning every day and things that you take for granted every day, when you have to explain that to another human, it gets really interesting. And this is just a really fascinating part of my day because it's what we do with our children all day long. They want to learn. They ask why. They point out the obvious, but they also provide these fresh perspectives. And they say, why does it work that way, Dad? And I go, that's a great question. And you start to talk through it and you start to explain it, or you explain something that you took for granted. The fact that you flick a switch and the light comes on, and then, the 3-year-old says, why does it do that? And you hadn't stopped to think about that in a while. And just the wonder of why this works the way it does, right? And when you have to explain yourself, it's the kind of conversation that feels so much more satisfying than you can get from talking something out to ChatGPT or especially a rubber duck. And I think that it's important for us to continue doing this in whichever form, but that we purposely try to seek out opportunities to explain ourselves in long form to other humans. Because while it is helpful to talk things out to a large language model, while it's fun to explain something to a child, and while I think it's beneficial even just to talk out loud in an empty room and try and understand what it is you're hearing back in the echoes of your own voice, right? All of that is good. But when it becomes a conversation, and when you can explain yourself in detail, and when you can explain a problem that you're having in detail to someone else, then that's where it just gets really magical. There's something about that interaction, you learning by saying it out loud, and then someone going, wait, hold on a second. What did you mean by that? And not just to blindly reinforce you like ChatGPT will, but to actually ask you a question, something that might stop you in your tracks and derail your thinking from this thing you're trying to explain. And it will actually force you to think about that differently. You can't replace that. And I think it's so important. And if you're feeling stuck, I encourage you to just explain the problem you're having to another person. And I think you'll be surprised what the results will be. And if you want to do that with me, you can email me, podcasts@ckhicks.com. I'd be happy to at least hear you out. You want to rubber duck via email, or better yet, we find a way to dialogue about this. I think that'd be great. But I want to start the conversation, and this is my voice coming out loud and circling back in through my ears, and I'm talking through something that I think is important, and I want to continue doing that, and I hope you do too. But in the meantime, I just want to thank you for your time and your attention, and I'll talk to you soon.